The world's household income comes up to $9,733 as of 2024. Okay. America's median household income is 74,580, with 1% of America making more than $1 million. Okay. Or more. And some people make so much money, it actually skews the entirety of the median household income. So if you were to remove anyone who makes more than, let's say, $1 million a year, our median household income drops down to $42,968 net. Guys, I remember growing up hearing some people say, I made $50,000. And I was just like, whoa, growing up in the 90s, right? And then hearing people say they make $100,000. And I was just like, you guys are great, right? You guys are obviously doing very well for yourselves. But in all actuality, at one time, that $100,000 meant a lot when our national debt wasn't $34 trillion plus. This was way before the government decided during the 19, basically, to start printing money, like it was just a printing press. Money meant nothing, right? This is during that time. Everyone was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm just going for the American dream of being able to purchase a house. Well, in all actuality, the average person doesn't have more than $500 in their savings account currently, right? Or they can't afford a bill more than $1,000 under any circumstance if it happened in an emergency fashion. And that's where we are right now, okay? People leaving money in the bank and that money in the bank just basically losing value every single day. It sits in the bank actually earning nothing because even in a savings account, the savings account rate cannot outpace the rate of inflation. Can a CD do it, you may ask? A certificate of deposit? No. Right? I mean, some high yield savings account may have the ability to kind of keep up with it at least, but you shouldn't be leaving any type of large quantity of money in the bank. But luckily, that doesn't mean anything to the majority of Americans because the majority of Americans don't have actual capital. And without that capital, you cannot actually live the American dream. Right, of purchasing a house with a picket fence, right? Unlike specifically if you are most likely a millennial or less, I mean, this feels nearly impossible, I'm sure. When you go and look for a house and you find out that they actually want a 10 to 20% down payment. If you pay less than 20%, you then have a PMI added to your loan permanently, right? Which is then obviously makes your mortgage payment higher. How can someone ask for 10 to 20% of the final purchase price of a house, with the median house prices being about $416,000. 20% of that is absolutely crazy if you know that the average American doesn't have more than $500 in their savings. Guys, what is the American dream going to be going forward? Because it's not what we thought it was growing up. Right? It is, in fact, not. It is not the 2.5 kids, right? It's not the dog. It's not the house, the picket fence. We think we need to come to terms with reevaluating exactly what this American dream will be going forward, to be honest, right? But all right, let's go ahead and jump in this video. Name of the video is Why a $100,000 Salary Cannot Buy the American Dream. This is a suggestion via Discord, guys. All right, let's go ahead and do this.
More than half of Americans say they would need at least $100,000 a year to be financially comfortable.
The benchmark of a six-figure salary used to be the gold standard income. It represented the tipping point of finally earning a disposable income and building a savings, spending based on your wants, not just your needs.
The American dream is what makes a middle-class lifestyle. You're able to pay your bills. You're able to put food on the table, put a roof over your family's head, and you have some additional savings.
Now, people making well over six figures are still living paycheck to paycheck. What used to symbolize financial freedom is now keeping people stressed about making ends meet.
26% say they would need more. A salary in the range of $100,000 to $149,000 per year would make them feel financially comfortable.
I think, unfortunately, what has happened.
Guys, I wonder how many of these people have experienced lifestyle creep. Like, so for example, if you are starting to make, you start a job, the starting salary was somewhere around, I don't know, $35,000 to $40,000. And then out of nowhere, you get a raise, you get pushed up in position, and you start making 75. Did you change your lifestyle? Because if you changed your lifestyle specifically, I'm not sure you can actually complain that you're living paycheck to paycheck. You allowed your lifestyle to balloon along with your salary. I think that probably should have been something you should have been maybe putting away and saving. At the very least, I understand things are getting a lot more expensive, but you have to be a little bit more financially savvy. Just because you have or you're making more money, it doesn't mean you should be changing your lifestyle drastically. Like if you can't afford, I'd say 4.3 times, let's say, roughly. Whatever you're purchasing, times it by 4.3. Is it still expensive? Don't buy it.
Is that wages haven't kept up with the cost of living by and large for the last 50 years or so. And so it becomes increasingly hard for many families to be able to attain that sort of middle-class lifestyle, that American dream.
How much you need to feel financially secure varies so much depending on not only your geographical location, but of course your lifestyle. It used to be that a six-figure salary was like the gold standard, but nowadays that may not be enough to make ends meet in certain parts of the country, especially like New York or San Francisco, where it costs so much more just to cover your daily expenses.
Here's why a $100,000 household income no longer buys the American dream. Go Banking Rates analyzed how much a family of 2 adults and 2 children would need in each state to own a home, a car, and a pet, as well as have an additional 20% of their income for savings and 30% for discretionary spending.
The core of what the American dream means is some amount of economic security, that you feel like you can get by and do a bit better. Maybe do better than your parents, maybe be able to afford a house, certainly be able to save for your children's future.
No, wait, hold on. The chance of someone in this day and age being able to do better than their parents, we have a lot more avenues, right, to make a lot of money pretty fast, I'd say. But I'm not sure we'd ever have the ability to do as good as our parents, who purchased houses, or grandparents who purchased houses for what's equivalent to, I don't know, a head of lettuce, guys. I'm not sure that that's the same thing. We cannot compare ourselves to boomers under any circumstances, guys. That's not a thing. No.
All 50 states require more than a $100,000 annual income, with 38 states needing more than $140,000. The most affordable states, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky, need between $109,000 and $117,000.
Yeah, but who wants to purposely live there?
The median income for a household of 4 people in each of those states in 2022 was between $71,000 and $87,000. Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts are the most expensive. Each requires an annual income of more than $240,000. The median income for a family of 4 in those 3 states in 2022 fell at least $94,000 short of what's required for the American dream. A different analysis from EPI found that in about 80% of the country, a family of 4 can afford their basic needs on less than $100,000 per year. Those include things such as housing, food, transportation, healthcare, childcare, taxes, and a few other basic necessities.
It doesn't take into account anything extra. It's really just putting food on the table, putting a roof over your head, getting healthcare for your family. And so you're not saving for a rainy day if something happens to somebody or if they lose their job. So there's no extra in there for retirement, for kids' college. Those are the kinds of things that many people want to save for. Those are the many things that people consider a part of the American dream.
Right. Only about 3% of those counties have a median income higher than the basic cost of living.
The idea behind the American dream hasn't really changed, even though lifestyles have. It used to be that you could get out of school, get a job, buy a home, and start a family, and now those milestones are harder to achieve.
It used to be that a high school degree, you're good to go. You could get a great job building cars or something and be right in the middle class off of a high school degree. But now, in order to get into the middle class, a high school degree is clearly not enough, right? Now, you gotta pay for college.
people are graduating with much larger student loan balances. And then it's harder to be on that same sort of career trajectory that would provide the stability that you maybe would have had a generation ago to save up for the down payment on a home.
Student loan debt reached an all-time high of $1.77 trillion in the first quarter of 2023.
That's crazy.
This can have a ripple effect, especially.
And the majority of these people are going for the same exact degree. And that's the problem. Like, generally what people do is they look online and find out exactly what job pays this, right? Then all these students start doing the same exact thing. And then what happens? There are too many of you. Now none of you are working.
Especially when entire generations are starting their adulthoods with thousands of dollars in debt.
So when you think about the kinds of investments you want to make for your children, the cost of college has gone up a lot faster than overall inflation. So trying to make those investments on a smaller and smaller paycheck compared to the cost of living can be very difficult and almost impossible. And so the kinds of debt that young people can rack up going to college gets larger and larger, and your ability to then make ends meet yourself, be able to buy a car, be able to move out of your parents' house, those things become much more difficult over time.
The American dream typically is people owning property and having children, but that's becoming largely inaccessible for many people. And even those who have attained these things are finding themselves managing every dollar coming in and out just to stay afloat. So that trade-off is underlying the new cost of the American dream.
Millennials and Gen Zers still want to buy homes despite feeling like they can't afford it. 62% of younger millennials and 63% of Gen Zers still say owning a home is part of the American dream. 66% of U.S. renters surveyed say rising prices leave them feeling hopeless about ever owning a home. 72% of respondents say they can't afford the down payment.
And that's the point. This is the big thing right here. I get it, right? Rent is absolutely crazy, but the only way to get out of renting is to purchase a house. But you can't actually purchase a house because the house prices have shot up and doubled in some places, right? Yeah, they've gone down, right? But they've doubled in some places, and they will not go down, all right, in certain places that are extremely popular, right? So now imagine you're going through all of these things. How long is it going to take you to save up $100,000 in cash? $120,000 in cash, all right? Just to put down as a down payment, as a 20% down payment on some of these properties, guys. And if you're already kind of living paycheck to paycheck, it'll never, even at $100,000, can you save that? Can you save half of it? No. 30% of that is gone, wasted, right? Then you're going to have $70,000 or so, $68,000, let's say, right? Then you have to live. Your rent's going to be what, maybe $30,000 that year? Then you have $30,000 left to pay for your car, phone, electricity, all the bills, and your student loan. And by the time you're done, after that $100,000, what do you have left? Maybe $2,000, $1,000. You can probably save up that 1 year. It'll take you 120 years to basically save up for a down payment so you can live your American dream in this America that we're living in.
17% of all home buyers said that saving for the down payment was the most difficult task in the buying process. And 52% said student loan debt delayed their ability to save.
Of course it did.
The typical first-time home buyer in 2022 had a household income of $95,900. Nationally, a prospective home buyer would need a nearly $110,000 salary to afford the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payments on a median price home.
What's interesting about that is that number actually went down. It was 116 last year.
But the median household income in the United States in 2022 was a little under $75,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's literally $74,580. And if you take away the people who make more than, because the problem here is this number is overinflated because there are people who make so much money, okay? Millions upon hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. Elon Musk is in this number, bro. All right. So I just want you to know, if you take out all of those people, okay, it leaves the median household income actually at $42,968 net. All right. That is the number. That's the real number minus all the extremely rich people. And keep this in mind. That's not removing the people who make more than $500,000 or $400,000. They're still in that number, 42,000. So what is the actual median income? It's nowhere near the $116,000 or $109,000 that's required to even purchase a median priced house in this country. Guys, it's crazy, actually, thinking about it. So how are people, in fact, affording these apartments when these apartments are taking up almost 70 to 80% of their yearly income, right? Imagine.
If you're born into a nice neighborhood in which your parents have lots of wealth and lots of income, your chances of doing well are vastly improved. Part of that's home ownership.
Collectively, Americans owe $1.13 trillion on their credit cards.
And that's even
Inflation,
crazier.
it's eroding people's purchasing power. It's reducing their ability to save for their future or invest in these long-term goals. So that loss of financial stability can create a sense of powerlessness and insecurity and contribute to feelings of uncertainty and vulnerability. It can really impact people's self-esteem, their resilience, their overall psychological health.
Right.
Economists have suggested that debt growth became a substitution for income growth. More than a quarter of Americans said that they are doom spending or spending money despite economic concerns.
And that the concept of doom spending is such a crazy thing, right? Let me kind of flush it out a little bit because it just says doom spending. So let's talk about it. The concept of doom spending basically is a somewhat new economic term. Or how about this? It may not be as new as I'm saying it is, but I think most people are using it in a new way, let's say, right? So doom spending. Let's say you save up, I don't know, $5,000, right? You save this money up for for your down payment on your house. Then you realize the house prices have shifted so much that same house that you were saving up for now is going to require you to put down $60,000 when before they were really only asking for 10. Okay, so you were saving up money to eventually be able to hit your goal of $10,000. Then you realize you can't afford that 60, so yeah, whatever. Let's go on vacation, right? So you just instantly stop saving any actual savings and then start spending your money because you're doomed. The country is doomed. You feel a sense of dread. I just want to waste all this money now. Why was I saving it? I can't afford a house.
There's also this idea that young adults are feeling more discouraged in their own financial standing. So in that way, they're less inclined to even save for long-term goals and more likely to just live in the moment. It's just sort of that mentality.
Vacation.
Like, you only live once. I may
Designer bags.
not buy a home anyway, so
Right.
let's take that trip or let's go to that event,
Don't
whether
do this.
it's a Taylor Swift concert or other, big ticket item.
Yeah, it probably won't be Taylor Swift, but you get what she's saying here. Like, definitely, my only advice is don't do this. You can still find something to do to put your money in. Yes, is your money sitting in the bank and losing value every single day? Yes, take it out, bro. Buy some type of land somewhere, please. There's cheap land. There are places that sell land for like $88 to $500 an acre. Okay, there are places that literally, like Colorado is one of these individual places, guys. Like, there are places in the desert where you can just buy land and just store that the piece of land, store your money in that land, sell it when you need it. All right, that's what I would personally do. I'm not giving you any type of financial advice here, guys. I'm just telling you, this is what I personally would do if that was the case.
73% of Gen Zers say the current economy makes it difficult to set up long-term goals.
And it's not just about revenge spending. It's just about wanting to
Revenge
enjoy
spending.
life and make the most of what you have, even if you can't necessarily buy that home or, you're not starting a family just yet and you really want to, feel good about yourself in the moment.
People are indulging to the extreme, and I think we often buy because we think that it's gonna change our life or it's gonna give us
So
this
silly.
emotion that we feel like we're missing, and it's like an endless trail of spending and constantly gonna make us feel empty because we're externalizing something that we need to give to ourselves.
Right.
I think that's a big issue with consumerism, and it's running rampant.
Social media has changed the conversation so much because there's just been this abundance of the ability to see these glamorous, glorified lifestyles. It's not only celebrities that are presenting themselves this way, but even your
Regular
own
people.
peers, which makes a lot of people feel like they're just not measuring up. They can't financially compete with what they're seeing online.
And it's mostly fake, bro. Keep this in mind. Do not compare yourself to anyone else financially, specifically if they're showing it online. It's mostly fake. It's not real. Don't dig yourself into a hole to keep up with Susie, all right, that just so happens to be going on all these lavish trips, allegedly, when all she's really doing is going random places, geotagging her images in certain locations, and they're really all just different towns, all right? It's not that serious, bro. It's all a lie. It's all a facade. It's not real.
It has left a lot of people, especially young adults, feeling very discouraged in their own financial standing. Even if they're doing okay, they just may not feel that way when they compare themselves to what they're seeing on social media.
Right.
The question is, are you able, given kind of the luck of the birth lottery, are you able to have opportunities that are the same as those of people who may have been born into families that are in better circumstances than your own? The American dream is all about it shouldn't matter. The birth lottery shouldn't matter, right? So it's deeply relative.
It does. The birth lottery. That's crazy. I don't think I've ever heard the birth lottery, guys, but it's interesting. So yeah, guys, is the American dream even viable, bro? I don't know. I'm not one to try to tell people that it's not a real thing any longer, but it's not a real thing any longer in the same way that it used to be, guys. Right? I am literally... gas was 72 cents years old. Okay. All right. I remember, guys. I remember when times were definitely different. Right. I mean, I think anyone that was here before the year 2019 probably remembers, how this world event basically wrecked the planet. It did. Closing everything was, I understand, for safety, but doing that wrecked the world's economy. It did. It pushed the wildest amount of migrants to here because it also wrecked their countries, right? So everyone is just trying to make as much money as humanly possible without realizing that they're absolutely causing more detrimental harm to the United States of America. But hey, listen, as long as they have the ability to come here, make money, and then send money elsewhere, I guess that's all that matters. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.